covering a fanimation called Operation Sunburst.
So the context of this battle before we get into it is this is before the events in New Vegas.
Okay.
Pretty much what happens is so in the I think it's the Fallout Bible, right?
Mm,
Which is something that came out after Fallout 2, I want to say,
mm,
which goes over a lot of information not in the games. It's referenced that the Brotherhood of Steel on the West Coast went to war with the NCR. And so what happened was they stole all their gold reserves,
mm.
meaning that they no longer had the backing of gold on their dollar bill, which the NCR transferred to dollar bills
Right.
from like caps from because something you gotta know, all like caps and stuff were not supposed to be permanent currency. Like when NCR formed in the second game, they all used NCR dollars now.
Right.
What happened was that they stole all the gold. So in New Vegas proper, the money of the NCR is worth less than caps now. So
Right.
they went back to using caps because NCR dollar was no longer as powerful without the gold reserves.
Right. Right.
So it's the relationship between the NCR and the Brotherhood of Steel was strenuous at best, but they were holding on to a solar power plant in the game. You obviously know about it afterwards, but Elijah pretty much wanted that power plant to be operational to use the orbital laser that literally used the sun to burn people.
Mm.
So he wasn't able to get it operational before the NCR came, and that's what we're watching now. Is
Okay.
like the battle between the NCR and the Brotherhood of Steel.
All right. Well, that gives it a little bit more context because I wasn't quite sure. I watched through it this morning, but was not all too
Well, this
clear.
is something you have to pay more attention to because it doesn't have much dialogue. That
Right. 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 Well, yeah. My read on it was, oh, it's it's some good battle animation scenes and whatnot, but you gave me a lot more context in what you just said than really what I was able to kind of glean from watching it. But
Yeah, this is just like
looks
the
good.
battle, which like so when it we could talk. I'll bring this up later, but we should get a little bit into it.
Sure.
One thing I'm a bit annoyed, while I understand why they use the Fallout 4 power armor, because objectively the Fallout 4 power armor is really cool, minus the whole fusion core bullshit that lasts 5 minutes, but but like obviously they wanted to use something from the modern games, even though in Fallout New Vegas it appears closer to like Fallout 1 and 2 power armor than it does 4.
Yeah, I assume they probably were just going with what were higher detail assets for the construction of this to some
Yeah,
degree.
yeah, probably because I'm not sure how this was animated, but I'm pretty sure they used like some like software, some bullshit
Mm.
that used the assets from the actual game to like portray this.
I would imagine they probably pulled the assets and assembled this in Blender. Um, would be my guess. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's my suspicion. Speculation, I suppose.
So this is supposed to be Faja Elijah, in the he's the elder of this chapter at this moment. When you meet the Brotherhood in the game, it's actually McNamara that becomes the elder.
Right.
And this is after the defeat that Elijah pretty much goes to the DLC locations in the game, and he pretty much like discovers dead money, which is the Sierra Madre Casino, so he can use the cloud and stuff to actually conquer the Mojave.
Hmm.
gotta say I don't like the model they use for Elijah because the problem with it is like he's really fucking old in New Vegas, right? And
Mhm.
this is only supposed to be like a year or like a few years before, but he looks a lot like not like a few years younger. He looks a lot younger.
Right.
Fall back and regroup.
That's also I'm pretty sure this is also an animation from the game over here.
Mhm.
Like the when you do work on your power armor, this is one of the animations.
Yeah. Well, I
Which
mean,
I'm not discrediting him. This animation is extremely well done. I would also use assets from Fallout 4 to actually do shit like this.
yeah. Well, just from a technical standpoint, this being a fan-made project, I think that it's highly successful in terms of just bringing it all together and making it work and be cohesive for 40 some odd minutes of a story to tell. I think that's kind of my takeaway from it is the dedication and the passion that went into it is the thing that really kind of shines through.
Well,
Uh,
I think I'll bring it up now, but one thing I hate about the show, right, is like most of the Fallout games follow some war between factions, right?
mm,
But it seems like in the show they are completely sidelining war in favor of a more dramatic and comedic story. So like for instance, I would much prefer the show follow something like this where it's two factions at odds and maybe a third party in a character that like is like not like not something like detailing the battle in some way but like not picking a side, but like maybe this war is going on in the background while the characters exploring the wasteland. But like the show is in favor of this family drama, which I hate. I hate every Bethesda bullshit tying some family member, some person to the player. Fallout 3, they have your father, Liam Neeson. Fallout 4, they have your son. And then in Fallout 76, they have the overseer being tied. You follow her trail.
right.
And
Well,
then and now in the show they're following the father. Like at what point is this like a trope that needs to end?
that's the doings of Emil
Yeah.
Fligerno, or however you say his last name. He has I had a conversation with him back in 2009 for about 4 or 5 hours, talking to him about you know various aspects of design concepts and storytelling and everything like that. And he's and I don't fully disagree with him on one of the points that he kind of tries to use as a crutch, but I don't think that I don't agree with him entirely. He would be the first person to tell you that the story doesn't matter, um, and that
That
most
is
people, I,
complete utter
I,
stupidity in an
I'm
RPG. This
I'm not saying that I agree with it, but for him, like he seems to think that the story can be very surface level and just kind of be there because he thinks more people are more concerned with collecting duct tape than actually getting immersed in
That
the
like,
story.
I'm sorry that like with new like not New Vegas with Fallout in general,
Mm,
that is the complete wrong attitude to have. And like I would love for you to talk to this YouTuber. I watch like he goes by Kretosis and like
mm.
he literally fucking hates Emil. Like and I completely agree with him. The dude's retarded.
Oh well, I'm not very big fan of his either, considering that he basically got a whole bunch of ideas and things like that from our conversation. Said he wanted to keep in touch with me and all this kind of stuff. And then within six
Yeah, I
weeks
feel
of
like
that
the
conversation,
I
he
I would
completely
love a
ghosted me.
conversation with you and Kretosis because, like,
So
you have personal experience with him, and
right.
like Kretosis mostly knows Emil from like his corporate talks at like GDC and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah. Well, that is where I met him, was at a GDC, and we ended up getting into one of the side rooms, and we just had a conversation. Like I said, went for about like 4 or 6 hours. It was a long, in depth kind of thing. I was talking to him about the thing I was working on and parallels and tone and things like that. And some of the stuff that I talked to him about kind of seemingly ended up in Fallout 4 in various ways. So I
Well,
can't
this is
say that he was directly
like,
impacted by that
Fallout
conversation,
3,
but
so like, well, I want to go into that some of the
yeah,
time, that discussion,
yeah,
because I'd
but
rather get into more of the video
yeah.
before, like,
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, I'm not. I don't think that he's the world's greatest storyteller to
like,
summarize.
so when it comes to like the like I forget what we even were on talking about this to get to ML, but oh, the Fallout TV show. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Fallout has always been about war, how it's inevitable that humanity is constantly at odds with itself. That we will never like change, like war never changes. Was never about, oh, the tools of war never change. It was more so about the fact that humanity will always fight itself, no matter the era. Like literally the first game is about, oh, the killing power is stone. No, he went. The first game goes over like, oh, the Spanish became a wealthy empire during its lust for gold. Hitler turned a battered Germany into an economic superpower,
Mhm.
and all this is like in favor. Like it goes over into the entire aspect of why war is inevitable in humanity. But like, it's now changed to be an anti-capitalist and
I don't even know so much if it's really anti-capitalist. I know a lot of people read that from it. But for me, like there's a huge difference between capitalism and corporatism. And capitalism is a means to an end for corporatism, but corporatism in and of itself is ultimately about power scheming, right? And so the scheme for power through the use of money is kind of more the thing that, as I'm
well,
watching it, that's the thing that's apparent to me. But I think that it's easy to say, oh, capitalism bad is what they're doing, but I think ultimately what they're showing, at least I'm giving a little bit of breathing room, and maybe it'll end up not getting there. But for me, what I see is it's not that Vault Tech is trying to ensure profitability. They're trying to ensure management control, and they want a certain segment of society
well,
ultimately to
that's
be the
not
ones
really
that
what they say though. They
that
say like,
benefit.
oh, there's a lot of profit in the end
Right,
of the
but
world.
people show and tell all the time. What is revealed through that, it's pay attention to the
But like, I
revelation.
understand like showing versus telling, but I feel like it's a bit of like, you're saying
No,
like,
no,
I
no, no,
can
no, no, no. I'm
counter.
not saying showing versus telling. I'm saying people show and tell on the surface level, but there's usually mechanizations and things like that are steeped
Yeah.
down in the nitty gritty details
Well,
of it. And so, if you just read it as, oh, they're going after capitalism, I don't even think that that's really what it is. I think that but we
well,
live
I
in
think
we
to
live in
these people
interesting
though,
times.
corporatism and capitalism is one of the same though.
Well,
Like, a lot of them do think that though.
I'm not saying that they don't, but also at the same time, if you actually kind of get into what those things are, and maybe that will be something that comes from this, is that, you know, can you read it as capitalism bad? Yeah, sure, I suppose you can, but ultimately a lot of people don't like. Late stage capitalism is not a thing. You either have a capitalism based society, which is about small business interactions competing for customers, things like that, or you don't. And what we have currently, since COVID 1984 happened,
I think it's gone
we
before that too. Like,
well,
corporatism has
right,
been a
right.
thing for a
Corporatism's
long
been
time.
Oh yeah, no, we've been in a zombie economy in the U.S. for 40 plus years now. And it's only becoming worse and worse
But like
exponentially
I
because
want
of
to
that
move on
corporatism.
from this because we could go on
Sure.
about this for hours, you know?
Yeah.
I want to like get at
But
least a bit further into
yeah,
the
no
video.
worries. No worries.
This guy is supposed to be the guy who becomes elder in New Vegas after Elijah. He's at
Right.
he's at this moment the head paladin.
Right.
You can see they also got let me go back. The Fallout 4 Securitrons, which I agree, those are definitely better than the Fallout 3 and New Vegas Securitrons. Uh, so like that's a design I like. The Deathclaw design for Fallout 4, dog shit compared to New Vegas and 3. Like there are some misses, some wins with Fallout 4's redesigns, but you know. So I'm unsure if this is supposed to be someone like the colonel at like what's it called? The colonel at what is the place called? Kent McCarran,
Mm,
not Lee Oliver, that's the fucking general guy. But like Colonel Shu. I'm unsure if this is supposed to be Colonel Shu, I think is. But like it's like some NCR higher up.
right.
By the way, the actual operation the NCR is naming this is Sunburst in the games actually. Like its reference is Operation Sunburst, where they try to wipe out the Brotherhood.
All right. Yeah, no, I assume that this is someone giving context to something that was in the game, um, and just trying to make a visual representation for what is otherwise just
Oh, in the game
notes.
it said that like the Brotherhood was outnumbered 20-1, but they were still able to survive even after losing many members.
Mhm.
So like they were able to like completely like, and I feel like it showed in the show in the this video, right? That it's more a Pyrrhic victory against the Brotherhood.
Right.
Because the Brotherhood like is like the Brotherhood during this battle was fighting 20-1, and they were still being able to push the NCR back even though being outnumbered that drastically. So like it was definitely a Pyrrhic victory, like in Total War or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they have the defensive position there in the area
Well,
that's more
actually, the
secured.
entire point of this post, right? The
Mhm.
entire argument is that everyone in the Brotherhood was voicing to Elijah that this was not a defensible location. They
Right.
like
But
the bunker they inhabit in this like at this time they own the bunker in Hidden Valley and then this place, but their main base is this place versus the bunker, which it should have been to like because the bunker is much more defensible.
right, but this is more about the resource than it is their own
Well,
livelihoods.
not so much. This was about getting a super weapon
Right,
unlocked,
right, and that's what I
but
mean by the resource. So they're more
I think
focused
that
on that.
they didn't like none of the Brotherhood knew about that though. They thought he was a crackpot who was trying to get some power. They didn't know about the super weapon in this place.
Well,
None of even the head paladin, the guy who becomes elder, did not know that this super weapon was here.
right, but again, like the motivations might not be clear to everyone, but if the guy who is at the center of it all, what are his thoughts? What are his mechanizations? And Again, it's like it's power scheming. So if you have this weapon, then you'll ultimately have, in terms of capabilities, you'll have a far better go of things once you kind of secure that. Even if everybody else around you doesn't go along with it, but they still go along with you because you're the head, then ultimately, they don't need to know so much as to
Well, one
why
thing
you're
you
doing the
gotta
thing.
know about this Elijah guy, right? He was not a military commander like in the Brotherhood. He was a scribe, and
Right,
it's usually the paladins, the head paladin in particular, that becomes a elder. So
right.
like this was out of whack that some scribe, and it was mostly because the West Coast wanted to get rid of Elijah. He questioned them on too many things, so he was sending them to pretty much go die in the waste with a bunch of with like some personnel they could lose.
All right.
Status report. Troop deployments have been completed, but this area is not defensible. It's dangerous to make this our base. So we need to reload. Enough! Fortify and protect this place. That's an order. Yes, sir.
By the way, something in the show I think is so stupid is the fact they add like a fucking a literal fucking Iron Man helmet going up on this when that was never like the design of power armor. Like
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I don't know. Even within this, you're talking about they're using assets from other games, things like that. Like every adaptation is going to have a little bit of.
well, I'm not talking about this like in the I'm talking about
I
the
know, I know,
show.
I know. You're talking about the show,
I
but
don't
that's
fault I don't fault this guy for using Fallout 4 assets. I'm
right.
just commenting on the Fallout 4 assets that I think were actually a good redesign versus a bad one
Sure,
like the Death
sure.
Claws.
But again, that's where I'm just saying, when left to do adaptations, there's probably always going to be stuff that you could sit here and say, that's why when I watch the Fallout series, I'm just kind of giving it its own space to kind of exist in, and where it goes from here, where they're talking about how the next Fallout game proper is going to be based on what's going on with this.
Oh my god, I'm so pissed about that. I'm gonna
It's well, that's kind of the thing, is it's like, I sit here and say I look at it as just kind of being its own take on Fallout, and so I give it a little bit more leeway.
I
But
dream for the day Bethesda goes under and the IP is put up to sale, and hopefully someone else who's actually good gets the IP and does it right. I know
I
that's unrealistic. It will never happen.
yeah, but that's also the thing too, is the Fallout property has changed hands a few times now,
It's
and
only
so
once. It went from what, but basically everyone who was at Black Isle went or Interplay went to Black Isle. It
right.
wasn't like it that changing of hands wasn't like it's
Well,
nothing.
yeah, that was minimal. But the point being, though, is every time that these things happen, once you go and put someone in control of a thing, whether it's in the large aspects or just in like, little kind of compartmentalized aspects of it, you give up some control to someone else. And so, like, there's always going to be little kind of variations here and there.
Do
It's just,
you I got a question. Do you mind if we go a bit over
yeah,
time or
do what you got to do.
because I
Um,
would like to get a bit like we're only
yeah,
3 minutes in or
yeah,
4 actually,
yeah,
so
no, that's fine.
Reinforce the base. Yes, sir. You might be here for a while.
I need to see this armor. I mean, this is weird. One second, let me get back to it. So this armor in particular is a bit weird. So this looks like combat armor from Fallout 1, 2, 3, and New Vegas, right?
Hmm.
But it's like in Fallout 4's like engine, so it's a bit weird. Like it like the combat armor is replaced with the modular type of armor, right? Like you know how you played Fallout 4, right? Or no?
Yeah, yeah, it's been a long
So,
time,
like
but
you know that like the armor changed from one like outfit to modular.
right.
So like you
Uh,
have a left arm armor, a
mm-hmm.
right arm armor, and all like chest piece stuff like that.
Yep.
So like that, like I like that they're using the old design for the combat armor in this animation, because I think that was a superior armor like looking type than the Fallout 4 one.
What? Hey! Huh.
So I think I'm not sure if this is some special unit, but like I feel like this is just regular troopers, because later on we see the actual ranger division
Hmm.
and in the sniper division, first recon, right? But like this is like I'm not sure if these are like supposed to be commandos or something like that, but this is, I'm assuming, just regular troopers. It's just like because it's nighttime, it's like stealthy, and
Hmm.
so I'm unsure if these guys were trained in stealth or not.
Grenade! Holy shit!
By the way, fan animation has laser weapons. The TV show doesn't. Like, I'm sorry, you're a big studio like Amazon. You don't have a single energy weapon going off. With the Brotherhood especially. The Brotherhood is all about energy weapons, but they don't have any. What bullshit is this?
Uh, it might show up in due time. It's I don't know. I
I mean,
think
correct
that
me if I'm wrong, but the Brotherhood is never shown with energy weapons in season one, are they?
I can't immediately recall off the top of my head. Um, I think that for a lot of, I think that most people see the big ass mech suits, and like the minigun is kind of the thing that you know uh
But even that has its own
tends
energy
to.
weapon variant with the Gatling
Sure,
laser.
sure, but I don't want to. I'm like I say, I think that I'm not going to have any kind of bias into my judgment. I want to let season 2 play out before I start trying to pick away at anything with it too much, because
Also,
it.
I'm sorry, but the guy they chose for Caesar, who's apparently still alive, unless it's a new Caesar, maybe it is, but he looks a lot like it looks like a lot like it's supposed to be the Caesar from the game, because obviously Caesar's the title. Like it's also like the actual guy's name is Edward Sallow, but like the whole point is like, why does he look so much like the game version? But Caesar's supposed to be dead before the game, like the end of the game of New Vegas.
Again, it's one of those things where I'm letting this thing actually kind of present itself. I know that there are a lot of people that are annoyed that it doesn't have any kind of definitive. Well, this is what
Well, no,
the
it does have definitive. We know it's a house victory because he's still alive. Every faction needs him dead besides the house victory. So
Well,
they did canonize an ending. It's just like they did it without knowing it.
possibly. I mean, again, this is one of those things where I'm gonna let it tell its story, and that's why I also just look at this as an adaptation because the the things that you're trying to do when you're putting somebody in a central role as the observer and the person who has agency to interact with the world is very different when you're trying to say, well, I'm telling a story and you're just going to watch the story that's being told. You're not any of the main
Be
characters.
honest
You're
with me
just
though. I want you to be honest with me about one thing in the show.
hmm,
The fact the ghoul can destroy 3 power armored units in 3 bullets. That's a bit dumb, is it not? This is like the superb armor, but somehow he knows about this one location like it's the hole in the Death Star.
well, he evidently wore that armor, and
I know,
so
but still,
you
this
know,
armor is supposed to be top notch. That even the Chinese dragoon was fucked against it. Like this is
right.
supposed to be top tier armor. It's not supposed to be able to be destroyed in one shot.
Well, I mean, this is one of those things, though, is a lot of things that are
Just be honest. Is it dumb or is it not?
I don't have a problem with it. It might be a little bit of flimsy hand wavium, whatever, but it's there's always going to be some suspension of disbelief
Let
for
me be
any kind of
honest
work of
though.
fiction.
There was a weak point on Fallout 4's power armor. It was on the back where the fusion core was. You could
Right,
shoot the fusion core and it would eject from the power armor and make the power armor useless. They couldn't
right,
move.
right.
But they didn't do that. They make it something in front of them like bullshit. They could have just made the ghoul turn out like what he shot out the lights, right? In that scene. They could have just made him like sneak behind them and shoot the fucking fusion cores on them.
No, again, it's this is one of those things where it's like I'm trying to actually just let it tell
How
its
much of that can you actually hand wave away? Like, I'm not saying you're not allowed to like it, but some of the choices, like, come on, it's it's like a bit too much. Like, one is a needle in a haystack, but then it's just a whole bunch of needles in one hay.
well, I don't know. I clearly I think that our perspectives on Fallout are very different and in terms of what we expect from it and all this kind of stuff. I don't have any issues with it as it is currently, and it's still seemingly like the characterization is uh
I
you know
think that they nailed the look of Fallout, as well, Bethesda Fallout in particular. But like,
mhm.
besides the point, like they nailed the look of it. It's just that the storytelling is dog shit, and like I want the storytelling to be good, but like the story of this show is like they retconned season 1 in season 2. Like the whole deal with well, I we can talk about that when the show actually finishes, but like let's get back to it. I don't know if this was monetized, but I don't that like the gore in this is a like wild. So I'm not sure if it's actually monetized. The bar, one of my favorite guns of World War II. I think that was the bar, right?
uh, I couldn't say.
We'll see it later, I think. Bro, the fucking was that varmint rifle? Fuck. Oh, like, come on. Like, that's power armor. That's energy weapons. That is the Brotherhood. Like, this is such fucking. This is what the battle between the NCR and fucking Brotherhood should look like in the show.
Wipe them up!
That was, I think that's supposed to be the like end of the first wave of NCR that got wiped out.
Yeah, it's first act.
The ambush failed while the Paladins were out scouting, but all necessary reconnaissance is complete.
What about the surrounding hills?
We finished scouting the surrounding hills as well. It's more than enough to use for the operation.
Good. The NCR main force will arrive soon and link up with our vanguard. Keep the reconnaissance reports coming until we move on to the final operation. What a mess. Judging by the situation outside...
Wait, oh, so this guy, I must have mistaken him. This guy must be McNamara then. His power armor definitely looked like a
Must be
lot.
war soon.
Paladin Lucius, welcome back.
Lucius. Who is Lucius?
I believe he's the guy who has the skull.
No, I get that, but one second. One second. Okay, I'm getting Black Clover shit when I look up Paladin Lucius, so clearly I'm not gonna be able to find it.
Yeah.
All right, back. Let's
NCR
watch a bit more. I know it's we could, like, just what time is it? Let's go until like 9, or sorry, what time? It's 6:15.
Actors under cover of night.
No! Wait!
And yes, there will soon be war. I need you to reinforce the defenses here to prepare for the next attack. I'll report to Elder Elijah.
Yes, sir.
Ad Victorium. What can I help you with, sir?
Okay, I don't like that, but it's whatever. The Ad Victorium thing is Fallout 4. They didn't do that on the West Coast, but you know, it's whatever.
I need to speak with Elder Elijah.
Unfortunately, Elder Elijah is not authorized any contact.
And what exactly is he doing in there that's so important?
I'm not sure about the details, but he seemed to be looking for something.
Acknowledged. When you are able to get in contact with the Elder, let him know that the NCR is mustering for a large-scale offensive.
Yes, sir.
Where the hell is it, goddammit? No, it's okay. Yes, I just...
So this is pretty much him trying to find the like actual weapon in this place, because it's supposed, like, the weapon is actually supposed to be at the top of the like, there's this like central pillar in the thing where it goes up into the sky with like a reflector panel.
Right.
And that's supposed to be used to actually reflect the sun to become a beam. Or like radio to like something, maybe like a satellite or something, to actually use it as like a beam.
Yeah.
But this is like him trying to find the actual location in this place of it.
need to find it. I can fix everything.
How much of this stuff?
I mean, the animation in and of itself is successful in its construction. They were very deliberate about the facial animations because they only have a few of them where you can actually see people talking. That's everybody's got masks on and things like that, which I think was a wise decision because they can focus more on just
Yeah, that's like the
actual
fucking most like when it comes to like what even anime, right? That's like the most expensive part is to animate the mouths.
right. So
So they often like cover their mouths or something like that. They
right,
actually
right.
make jokes about it in anime too. Oh, like you know how like it's just bullshit. But we could actually stop here. Then we got like 8 minutes in.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think from what we've seen of this so far, and I would recommend to anybody to go and watch the full animation. It tells a nice little story. It's and it's presented in a lot of set like the set pieces are all based around the action of the battle itself, and I think it was very successful, at least in terms of getting across what a battle for Helios One would look like, um, and with their limitations in terms of I don't know how many people necessarily worked on this, but
I
it
think
seems
this
like
was
this was
one
like a
dude actually.
fashion. Yeah, it seems like it was a fairly small group
Well,
passion project. There was
the thing
people
with
that
this, right? This isn't actually one like video. They actually released this in like 2 3 minute videos,
mhm.
which they compiled it all into one video.
Right, and that makes sense. Because like the fade ins, the fade outs, everything like that. So each one of these things that you're seeing is like a vignette, but it's telling a larger story ultimately, and the way that it kind of gets revealed as those various parts come together. That's I think quite successful, um, and just the way they went about actually taking the time to craft it and the various decisions that they made based on resources that are available. I Again, that's that whole thing about like the adaptation of using elements from
Well,
a later game.
some of this was actually like new because the combat armor like they're using a lot of the troops. That's not actually in Fallout 4. They replaced that, so clearly they must have made that in scratch.
Right, so but that's what I'm saying though, is like you have to make certain choices.
Actually, unless they use the Fallout 3 or New Vegas, like those mods that are trying to make it so Fallout 4 can become those games. They might have
Sure.
used the files from those, like the Fallout 4 New Vegas mod team, who was trying to remake all of New Vegas in Fallout 4, which I would love to play.
Possibly. I mean, they could have started with lower end models and then used those as references and then made their own thing. I couldn't really say specifically, but in terms of just what they ultimately put together, I think it's pretty great. And for a lot of people, like this was probably the best that you could really get in terms of
I mean, when it comes
exploring
to
the lore and things like that.
choreography and stuff, right? Like the whole fact that, well, that's not what it's called. I don't know what it's called, but like the camera angles and stuff is used purposely for like to show like much larger scale, even though it's not really.
Mhm.
Like this is supposed to be a 20-to-1 battle, but like it looks a lot bigger than it actually is. This is more like a 1-to-3 battle, but it's supposed to portray a like large scale NCR offensive against a smaller Brotherhood force.
Right, but again, the resources that you have available, you can't
Yeah.
animate, like that, especially if this is like primarily one guy working on the whole thing. And again, that's where that's that whole thing where I say I let people kind of adapt things, within their means, and it's it at least evokes the appropriate kind of vibe check, I guess, for what it is. And is it 100%, accurate to everything? There's little nitpicky stuff that you can find. You've mentioned a few things, but does the overall thing actually kind of move forward in a way that at least is effective? I would say, yeah. It's I think it was perfectly fine. I watched it all the way through this morning, and seemed pretty enjoyable. And the way that they made certain choices about having people wear masks for when they actually have to be speaking lines and things like that, I thought that was actually a wise decision for something like this when you're talking about the limited scope in terms of how much time and resources that you can put towards doing this. Sometimes you just have to work with what you have rather than you know trying to get like this grandiose kind of production in the way that you would want it. You just kind of have to sometimes just have to go with what's available.
Embrace the war.